Okay, so let's start to set up our rig that will contain all those numerals. And I think in this case I'm going to stay in this particular camp, which is the clock together camp, because I already have this clock face here, the circle, and that will help me to determine how far those numerals should be from each other. So for the sake of the reference, I think we're going to stay in this camp for now. Um, so the first thing is to start to type in the text, but we're not going to see anything until we change the view to the active camera. When we start to type the text is still two-dimensional, and it's not visible in the custom view until you make it three-dimensional. For now, I think we can stay in the active camera even if we make it a 3D text. One thing to be very careful about it, and I know that some of my students had some problem with this before. I'm going to remove this text for now, just delete it. There are two ways to create a text. One is the simple text. You basically just click anywhere in your composition and start to type. Another one is to create a text box. And this text box is like a container inside which you're going to type in the text. Notice that if I type more than this container can fit in, then the text is just invisible. For this particular exercise, we have to make sure that we're going to choose the simple text, not the text box. So I'm going to remove the text box for now and come back to my simple text layer. The reason is that the simple text have a little bit different way it works with the anchor point, while the text box take under the consideration the anchor point of the entire layer, while this text, the simple text, take under consideration the position of the text itself. And that is going to make it much simpler for us to align things around the circle of the clock face. First of all, I think this particular font is not what we want. We need more like a old-looking font. I was thinking something along, the old Roman font. Let's take a look at what we have. Century, maybe this one. Let's take a look. If I put like number 11, that looks pretty good. It has those serifs. It's somewhat similar to the text that you would see on like some old Roman or Greek temples, and I was thinking something along those lines. So we decided about the font color, change that as well. I think that should work. The next thing is, let's make sure what is the alignment of this particular text. So if we go back to the paragraph panel, right now it's left aligned. We need to have it in the center. The last thing is, let's actually go to the position property value. P for the position, let's take a look. Right now it's kind of here in the corner. Again, for our sake, we want to have everything in the center when we start it, so we know that there is no unusual offset, something that will make our life difficult later. So let's reset the position of this layer. I'm going to just right click on it and reset. That should bring it right into the center of the camp. And notice, because the anchor point is right in the middle but on the bottom of the text, and everything again aligns really well. The last thing, let's make this text 3D, and now finally we can switch back to the custom view and see where that text is located. Well, it's located exactly in the middle of the camp. That means that we have to change its position. Well, we can do it in several ways. I was thinking that for this particular setup, it probably could work with the anchor point. The reason is that we will need to duplicate this particular text and offset its position around the circle. If we do it with the anchor point, if we change the position of the anchor point, that way we don't really need to mess up with its actual position at all and only work with the rotation. And I will demonstrate it right now. So position value is at its default in the center, and let's go and initiate the anchor point. I'm going to do Shift A so I can have both of the position and anchor point value visible, and we're going to offset it on a Z axis. So basically I'm kind of offsetting it towards the edge of that clock face. And right around here, I think it's pretty good. I actually am going to move it a little bit back because I know that there's gonna be some shadow, and I want this shadow to kind of be casted by this text and maybe a little bit visible towards the edge. I'm not quite sure about the size of this text. Let's go to the camera tool and just orbit around and kind of see how this looks. It looks kind of small to me. If I go back to my QuickTime and compare it, oh, those are pretty large. So I'm going to actually go back now and increase the size. So I can increase the size by quite a lot, I would say. All right, so this looks pretty good now. Now if I orbit around, and I'm still in the camera tool right now, if I orbit around and take a look how this looks, now it almost feels like this space is not enough, so I'm just going to decrease the anchor point offset, and I think right around here should be good enough. Okay, so this is going to be our first hour, and since we already set it up all correctly, now all we need to do is just basically duplicate it and then offset the rotation of it, because as you notice, the position is still in the center. We just use the anchor point to move that hour text towards the edge of the clock face, but the position is still as a default center position. That will make our life much easier when we need to again align those around the edge of this clock face.